Good morning, podcasters, learners, and people that want to make an impact. I'm Podcast Pete, and I'm with you on the Fractional Executive Podcast. My friend in Ireland, we got our time zones, signals crossed, whatever. He has the most awesome approach to growing your business, the whales and the sardines. Now, I'm going to give you three things that I want you to take away with, or want you to kind of think differently about how you grow your business. First off, the whales is a concept where you want to feed the whales. So the first thing is you have to do the data. You can't get anywhere unless you know your data. So number one, know your data. Now, what does that mean? Now, 10 years ago, I was in a class and this gentleman was kind of a career guy. And he said, somebody asked the question, if I was looking to launch a career, knowing what you see out there and what's happening, what would be the career that I would launch or I would focus on? And he said, data. And it was like, this was 10 years ago. I'm going, data? What the heck's, how does that have to do with a career? Fast forward 10 years, I've had some very interesting guests, like yesterday. Oh my gosh. I mean, Michelle Chapman, this lady rocks. She now takes data for companies and even small business and helps them to really see what does that data mean. And if you can't get the data from your business and be able to make decisions on that data, what is your KPIs, your key performance indicators? What does it mean? Where's the sales come from? She said yesterday, I said, which businesses would respond best with your skill set? And she said, really somebody that owns three businesses. So you take yourself, you have three different businesses. They all have a different makeup. The cash flow is different from one to the other, but you are the owner of the three businesses. So as the owner, you have to prioritize based on data. So you look at your situation. If you do not know what will move the needle, what will be able to bring in the cash flow, you're not growing. So to say like, I'm not spending the time with the right parts of my business, that's where Neil O'Brien comes in. He has a concept called the whales and the sardines. So if she takes that example, three businesses, I think she said like lawn care, health, hair salon, and there was another business. They're all trade businesses. And you can't look at that from a data standpoint and then prioritize and know from day to day. Business is moving so fast. You look at AI, how that's going to impact your business. That's just the data from yesterday, not the future data. It takes everything, puts it at our fingertips. So you can get data that will allow you to make better decisions if you know how to use the data. So where I want to go with this on the whales is you have to analyze the data and then feed the whale. Now, what that means is the whale is your visualization of the parts of your business that's growing, that's big. Sardines are small. So you starve the sardines and feed the whale. Treat everybody with respect. I think I hear that like, well, I treat all my customers the same. Well, if you do, meaning time-wise, everybody gets treated with respect. Time-wise, you can't give the same amount of time to your smaller customers as you do your bigger ones. Because if you do, the whales will leave. Because if you don't feed them, they're going to go where the food is. And food is the amount of time that you're giving the whales. When you analyze your business and you see, well, 3 customers are making up 80% of my business. Okay, you got 20 other customers. Let's just classify them as sardines. You spend equal time with all 23 customers, I guarantee you those whales are going to swim away, because you'll get caught up in customers that will zap your time, and time is money. We all know the 4-hour work week, or there's another book out, 15 weeks in a year. What it basically says is you got to prioritize your time better than your competitor, because if you don't, your competitor will fly by you like you're standing still. So first, data. Second, you have to kind of look at the data and say, whale number 1 is bringing in 30% of my revenue. Whale number 2 is bringing in 20%. And whale number 3 is bringing in 10%. So you look at that 50% number, if we just use numbers, then that whale that's bringing in 30% of your revenue, you got to put the time into that whale. So if you just took 3 whales and treated all 3 equally with your time, you're doing a disservice to the bigger whale. So there's so many lessons in 80-20. And I think Neil does it better than anybody I've seen, is the visualization of the whale and the sardines. For like the longest time, I mean, I'm embarrassed to even say it. When Tim Ferriss came out with a 4-hour work week, I mean, my first couple years, I'm going, dang, I want to work more than 4 hours a week. I'm going like, dang, I want to work because I could put some hours in. And I was thinking, I don't like that. I want to work more than 4 hours. Then the light bulb went off a few years later. Oh, that's 80-20. He's prioritizing. His 4 hours are so focused, so prioritized. He gets 80% of his work done with just 4 hours of his work week. So you have to always, especially in a busy, everybody's busy. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody who said, man, I got nothing to do. Man, if you got nothing to do, you better figure out to do something, because everybody has to make an impact in whatever they're doing. So if you're just taking every day like, hey, tomorrow I'll do what I want to do, and no intention, you'll have an impact of no intention. But if you are intentional about how you spend your time with the whales, feeding the whales, as Neil would say, then that whale's got enough food, your time, to be able to grow. Time, food, feed the whales. So hopefully that helps to kind of visually see that. And then the last thing is, and you hear it, well, what if a sardine becomes a whale? Yeah, it can. You got to kind of use your better judgment on that. There's no like cookie cutter way that you put enough time into a sardine, they're going to become whales. Normally, they don't. A sardine thinks like a sardine is always a sardine. It's not like sardines will become whales in the fish world, I guess. So you have to be very careful. Don't get sucked in to a sardine, because they will zap your time. And we only have 24 hours. I haven't run into anybody that says, I got 25 hours now. No, you don't. Everybody's got 24. The high performers, and there are high performers out there, they You look at their calendar, you'll be blown away because they have their calendar blocked off. Not just, I want to get 20 things done in today. They know their priorities. They're intentional about blocking time to get things done. And they're focusing on the whales, which the whales are the big impactful parts of your business. And so Neil, we'll get him back, but I just wanted to give you and put it under the Fractional Executive Podcast because I want to promote it. We have so many things that are going on here at Podcast Pete. Every time I say that, I have to laugh. We're moving fast, really fast. Storytelling is everything, and being able to niche your story, your podcast to reach your ideal audience is key. So if you're in a position where you think your business needs a fractional salesperson, fractional IT person, fractional CFO, fractional marketing person, fractional technology person, there's a gentleman, Todd Lesson, Chief Revenue Officer. Now, just get your hands around that, revenue. Now, how important is revenue in your business? Well, it's the blood of your business. Revenue is everything. You don't have revenue, you're closing the doors. So you got to be dialed in to the revenue part of your business. So we're going to have Todd on, I think, next week. So we will have, and when it comes to technology, man, I'm telling you what, it is moving fast. We were at a Rotary meeting just before this, and the gentleman that was speaking is speaking on behalf of the Task Force of Organized Crime and the cooperation they're getting in the county from Smyrna, Marietta, and Cobb. They're all talking to each other. So my question, and Deborah we were high-fiving each other after she said, I want to ask that question. And I said, yeah, it is a good one, AI. So my question is, he's a person of impact. He's making a difference. I won't mention his name. I don't know if I should, so I won't or could. But anyway, so here's the thing. I said, you're a person of impact or you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. How do you see AI helping you make an impact in your organized effort to get rid of organized crime? And he said, I hear about it, but we don't really know. So as a business owner, just to tie it back to business, you have to know the tools that will move the needle for you. Jonathan, who's my IT guy, this guy's amazing. He's making technology simple and impactful for businesses. So the fractional IT person is somebody you want to have on. Somebody like a Michelle Chapman, somebody like a Todd Lesson. People that are in the space that are being able to take data and give the business owner an accurate story of how they're going to impact their business in a positive way. Because if you're not growing, you can't stand still in business. You'll be out of business. And the numbers don't support small businesses growing. Only a few are getting to the certain stages. I don't know the numbers, but it speaks to you got to quickly, as a business owner, grasp the mindset of a big business, because you'll never be a big business if you don't think like a big business. Apple didn't become Apple by thinking small. Steve Jobs did not build a company the size of Apple by thinking like everybody else. He thought completely different. He built a culture, he built a business that's massive. And you could go down the line. Small businesses become big businesses, but thinking you're a big business, making decisions like feeding the whale, 80-20, making sure that you're doing these things that'll help you become a bigger business. And so let's recap, because I want to cut it off at about 15 minutes. Well, we're at that now, 20 minutes really. So you got to get your data first. Then you got to look at that data. What does the data tell you? Who are the whales in your business? Once you identify your whales, you got to start spending time or food to feed the whales. So feeding those whales will keep your whales, because if a whale doesn't have food, it gets to be a sardine. Not really, but you know what I mean. So making sure that you look at your whales, even to the point is you got 3 whales and one is 30%, 20%, 10%. You don't treat the one way, all whales the same. You still keep 80-20 in every single thing you do. And if you want to know more about how that works, you talk to my partner, Jeff Bourgeois. Man, this guy is a beast in accomplishing things, prioritizing things, managing his calendar. Now he's dove deep into AI. And when you get focused on a particular skill and you can be so talented in how you manage your time and you go deep into that skill, you become good at it. And you don't let the distractions of life take you off course. So anyway, feel free to share this with anybody. I want you to get this in the hands of people so small businesses can become big businesses. When small businesses become big business, enterprise thrives. I was listening to Stephen A. Smith on a podcast yesterday, and he talked about the enterprise of the capitalist system. It's all about business. So yes, there's some people who don't think the way they should, but the whole thing about making sure business can survive is everything. If you don't have businesses that are thriving and driving the economy, you have socialism, communism. There's no such thing as everybody in business is the same. You contribute, like he said, you make an impact, you're rewarded. The market will pay you when you're rewarded. Add value, you get currency coming your way. You don't add value, you don't get currency. You don't grow. So thank you so much. I want you to, let me see if I can do this yes, I think I can. Okay, I'm podcastpetecane.com. That's my direct number. Dang, I'm giving you my direct number. But let me just forewarn you, if you don't come up in my address book, I don't answer it. So spammers, just throw that number out the window because you're not going to get an answer. But if you would like to be a guest on our podcast, one of our many podcasts, first become a guest, then I will put you in touch with our other partners in podcasting and get your ideal audience. You have to know who your ideal audience is. So once we identify that, we can put your story, your message, your attention to your ideal client or prospect. Because if you don't know, if you serve everybody, you serve nobody. So you got to know, you got to be very specific about who you're serving. And we can help you with that by hearing a little bit of your story. So I want to encourage our viewers at 20-minute mark. I'm Podcast Pete. And let me see, I say what? I don't. This is my contact information. The one thing I want you to take home from this podcast: data works. if you know how to read the data. What is the data? What kind of story does it tell about your business? Because if you know that, you prioritize your time better, you feed the parts of the business that are going to grow, and you make an impact out there in business. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Please share this with anybody you think can benefit by really making data important in your business. Have a wonderful day.